What's going on, everyone? Hayden here. What's the future going to look like for Amazon sellers? What's the future? I want to run through what I think my predictions are for the future for the next 5 to 10 years for online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, private label, wholesale, the whole sort of overview of all of this sort of stuff. Now, I do RA and OA at the moment, okay? And although wholesale and private label are a different entity in themselves, I still feel like in my Facebook group and my YouTube channel and all the sellers that I speak to that are doing all these different methods of selling, I think that I've got a really good overview of what the future looks like. Potentially, obviously no one actually knows, but potentially, okay, from my current experience. So, excuse me, I want to talk about this. So, some people think that OA and RA are going to be dead in a couple of years, right? 5 years max, right? People think it's going to be dead. They think it's pivoting more towards brand deals, you know, like more brands are going to be coming on Amazon because the high street's going to start to die and all that sort of thing. Now, although there's definitely some sense behind that, I just don't think that that's going to happen. So let me talk you through what I think, because look, number one is that people have been saying that online arbitrage and retail arbitrage is dying for longer than I can remember. I've looked back on Facebook groups. I've looked back on YouTube videos. There's YouTube videos from 4 or 5 years ago saying this is the last year of online arbitrage. Like, online arbitrage is going to die. A year and a half ago when I started, a year and whatever, when I started selling on Amazon, there was people that were saying that, you know, it's dead, you know. Excuse me, the battery sort of timed out then. I got a battery warning. They said that it was dead then, right? And they said, oh, it's going to die next year. All this waffle, right? All this waffle, but this is what I've realised what I think it is, right? Online arbitrage, I don't think's ever going to die. Look, Amazon are getting more strict, right? They are getting more strict. But there's always going to be room for products that people can seek their way through into, if that makes sense. There's always going to be room for the right resellers. And what I mean by that is the people that aren't just following the crowd. If you're just following the crowd, you're going on a normal deal sheet, right, that is giving you all these standard deals, that's only going to last for so long. And Amazon and resellers and these stores and the brands that they're on, they're going to pick up on that. If there's 100 sellers on a listing, they're going to pick up on the opportunity when the retail market, when the shops, when the high street gets hit even harder, because it will start to keep getting hit even harder. I think that they're going to pick up on the really, really popular listings, and they're going to go. I always think there's going to be an opportunity for online arbitrage for the resellers that are, quite frankly, good at what they do. They're actually thinking outside the box. They're thinking differently. They're not just following the crowd. They're thinking differently, you know, and that could be a variety of things. You know, is that different brands that are more unknown? Is it different websites that are more unknown? Is it slower selling stuff rather than the really fast selling stuff that everyone else is on? I do think there's going to be some big pivots, some big adjustments in the next 2 to 5 years from what we've seen already, with Amazon trying to cut down on just these saturated listings that are, you know, quite frankly, not very profitable for even the seller. The grocery at the moment is going through quite a big thing, you know, where they're trying to, you know, they seem to be trying to get rid of a lot of FBA sellers, try and make the price more affordable. But my point is there's still millions of products that have still got opportunity on them. So I think after all this that they're going to be cutting down on the really, really, really popular listings that are quite frankly saturated anyway. And who cares? Who cares? If you're just selling on them listings, right, then you can't be doing very well. If you're just selling on the really saturated listings and your profit is like minuscule, right, absolutely minuscule, then quite frankly, you're probably going to get into a better business or pivot into a better area of Amazon, even if that does happen. I don't believe that OA or RA will ever be dead, right? I think that, especially not in the next 10 years, right? Maybe after that it could be, but in the next 5 to 10 years, no, I don't think so at all. I think it's going to get the bigger brands that you're selling on here that are going to get harder to sell on, the bigger brands that are saturated. So I think you're going to need to pivot out of them into the more experienced seller pools, and then just start to work your way around the more experienced sellers. Do your own research, go into categories and retailers and brands that are better than just getting on these listings that are full of thousands of other sellers. And it's just, quite frankly, it's a dive to the end, isn't it? It's like there's only one way them listings are going, and that is down, you know. So that's my thoughts on it. Yes, I think it's going to get harder, but it's not going to go. I don't believe that at all. Now, with the other stuff, when people say, is the high street going to die? No, I don't believe that. Everyone thinks the high street's dying. Now, I used to believe that, but then I got my serious thinking head on. I don't think the high street's going to die. I don't think the high street's going to die at all. I think some shops, yeah, but definitely not the whole thing. Do you know why? Because the local councils and the government and all of these sorts of places, they're going to fund it. Why are they going to fund it? Because it's a tourist attraction for the town or for the city. It's an attraction. It's a day out. It's almost, you could call it a vital part of being human, is for you to have enough activities, to have enough distractions, so that the majority of people that perhaps aren't too happy have got stuff to do, right? Now, some of you may think that's a crazy thing to say, but that's what I believe, right? Obviously, the government does control a lot of the world, right? And what they say goes. If they want the shops to stay open because it means that customers are still buying and the world's running normal, then they will find a way to keep them open. They will make sure that even if they have to give them grants, that they stay open. So you'll probably find in the next 5 to 10 years, because the high street is going to take such even more of a bang from e-commerce selling, that they will start giving reward schemes for people that do open retail stores to make it more incentivizing, to make it more attractive. So I don't believe the high street's going to die. I think 5 to 10 years it's still going to be here, and people are going to be swallowing what they said. That's what I think. But looking at 10 years' time, I think that online arbitrage will be here, but it will be a lot harder, and I think that it will be either really competitive or it will be a lot harder. And doesn't mean it's not possible. I think it'll be a lot harder, and you have to seriously know what you're doing. I think retail arbitrage will always be here. I just do. I think it will always be here. I think private label, although it's going to get more competitive, I think long term, that's building a brand on Amazon is the way forwards. You know, I'm just saying what I think. I haven't got one, but I'm just saying what I think. And I think wholesale is going to get harder as well. Margins are going to get even smaller, but I think brand deals and proper wholesale accounts are always going to be an opportunity, because why wouldn't they be? You're making a deal with wholesalers or brands, and then you're selling them on there, because you can both mutually benefit each other. So that's what I think. That's what I think the next 5 to 10 years holds for selling on Amazon. I just think it's a load of waffle. People are just saying it just because they think it sounds cool. Oh, the high street's going to die within the next 5 years. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I'll put £1 million bet on that. That is not going to die. That's what I think. Look, you go down the range. Go down Sainsbury's. Go down Blue Water when it opens soon. It is jam-packed. What are people talking about? The high street's going to die. It is jam-packed. People much prefer shopping generally from retailers, right? A lot of people, I'd say 70% of people prefer shopping from retailers. Not to mention people that are not a fan of places like Amazon, which holds almost 50% of the online market. Some people refuse to shop on Amazon because they don't support the business. So you've got all that to play with, you know, like, so maybe one day, but for a long time, the retail is not dead. That's my opinion. So I'll see you all soon.